Now that you got your SCOBY and you have your starter fluid, it's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is keep on making sweet tea, mixing it into your jar, and you're set. So let's make some more sweet tea and get on it. So the first thing you're going to need is tea, black. Now it's very important that you make sure that it is not decaffeinated because your SCOBY is going to feed off of the caffeine and the sugar. Now this is just preference, but I want to make sure that my tea is non-GMO, that they do not use genetically modified organisms, and that it is USDA organic. Your symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, aka your mother, or what I like to call it, my atom, is a living organism. So why not grow it as healthy as possible? Don't give it that garbage, give it the good stuff. Your kombucha is fermented by the yeast and the bacteria, so I want to make sure my SCOBY is running like a well-oiled machine, a healthy, well-oiled machine. You're going to need sugar. Now again, it has the 2 badges of honor. If they don't have that, I'm not getting it, and I'm not making booch. This one happens to be vegan as well. It's not filtered or bleached using bone char. All right, we're also going to need our water. Now I use distilled water. This happens to be Arrowhead. I usually just use the off-brand distilled water. I use distilled water because through that process, it rids the water of any fluoride, chlorine, or dioxins. Now on the flip side, it does get rid of some minerals. And we're also going to need our SCOBY and the booch that we made in the last video. That booch is going to act as a starter, just as we used the bottle of booch in the last video as a starter. Now I have a couple other tools that have been introduced to me by my wife and that I completely love. There have been times where I've been trying different black teas and I'll use a loose leaf tea, and my wife let me use her French press, and I absolutely love this to steep my tea in. And this money maker right here, this electric kettle pot, man, it makes the process so much quicker. I can throw some water in here, it'll boil it in literally like 60 seconds flat. Now I don't over boil my water, I just get it hot enough to steep my tea so that it cools off a lot faster. Now the first thing we're going to do is make a concentrate of sweet tea. So we're gonna make sweet tea using our tea and our sugar. Now, just through trial and error, I found that not all tea is created equal. I like my kombucha really strong, so what I've found is that I can use an entire box of tea depending on the brand, and it won't come out as strong in the end depending on the type of tea I use, whether the pouches are smaller or bigger or what have you. Also, I found that the more sugar I put into it, that dictates the strength of the kombucha at the end. Not only the tardiness, but the strength. Now, what will happen if I don't use enough sugar or if I don't use enough tea, I have noticed that the flavor of the kombucha, when finished, it comes out tasting like a watered down version of what I want. So I ensure that I go all out with the tea, all out with the sugar. Now, we're not going to boil the entire gallon of water. What we are going to do is boil a few cups so that when we're cooling off the tea, after we steep the tea, we can mix the rest of the water in to cool it down quicker, and we'll just continue the process that much faster. All right, so while our water is boiling, we're gonna go ahead and take this off and load up the tea. All right, so now we're just gonna let that steep for about 5 minutes, and then we are going to blend our sugar with the tea into our mason jar. We do not want this tea to get too cold. We still want the tea hot when we mix our sugar. It just simplifies diluting the sugar into the sweet tea and getting rid of all those sugar crystals. All right, our tea has been steeping for about 5 to 8 minutes, so we're just going to French press that. Again, your SCOBY metabolizes the sugar, so don't worry about using too much sugar because it's not going to be super sweet when it's done. Alright, now that sugar is nice and diluted in the tea, we have our tea concentrate. This is still fairly hot, so what we're going to do, we're going to introduce our new mason jar. You do not want to put hot sweet tea with your SCOBY because your SCOBY is a bacteria and it will kill your bacteria. So you have to cool this off. And to expedite that process, we're going to dilute this with our room temperature water. Now this is something I didn't mention earlier. Before you use your jars, you want to make sure they're sterilized. Make sure you kill any bacteria that's in the jars. Again, you are boiling the water, so that should kill any bacteria. And the booch, the starter, is acidic, and that should kill any bacteria. But just to be safe, make sure your containers are sterilized. All right, these are cooled down, they're ready to go. I'm gonna put them off to the side while I get the SCOBY. These are all set. We are going to mix our sweet tea with our SCOBY, and we have a little bit of leftover booch in there, and that's just considered our starter. And that actually helps, one, fight off bacteria because of acidity, but two, it gets that jump started. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off. When I take this off, I try to be as quick as possible. Again, fruit flies, I don't want anything falling in it. I don't even like talking over it. So we're gonna do it quickly. You wanna get in the habit of using glass. You don't wanna use plastic because your kombucha is acidic. It'll start eating away at the plastic, and then you'll get that in your SCOBY, and it'll get in your drink, and then ultimately in your body. So we don't want that. We're gonna start good habits from the beginning. We use glass jars. All right, now it's all set. We're gonna throw it in the cabinet, let it sit for about a week, and then come back to it and see how it tastes. When this is ready, when I open up the cabinet, I smell it, and it's like ready to go. It smells good. It has kind of a tart smell. I taste it. If it's too sweet, I put it back. When it's tart, that's when it's ready to go for me. That's when I like it. So we'll check in on it in about 7 days, and hopefully it's ready to go. Now you can put that little SCOBY that you just made into a larger container, and that's what I did. You can also use that 64-ounce jar that you're using, but the only thing that's going to happen is you're not gonna have a whole lot of kombucha. If you just want to try it, if that's something you're just trying right now, then go ahead and use a 64-ounce. But I tried it, and immediately the next batch I went to a larger container because I flew through the 64-ounce jar. This is that first original one. There it is. That first original one.